Welcome back to Fight Talk MMA. There's a lot to unpack today, from intense rematch drama to major roster shakeups, so let's dive right in. Get ready for the latest on Alex Pereira, Charles Oliveira, Ilia Topuria, and more. But before we dive into the video, if you find this coverage valuable, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. It genuinely helps our community continue to grow and improve. Alex Pereira recently addressed accusations of greasing before his latest fight. He firmly denied any wrongdoing, suggesting that the claims were merely an excuse from his opponent's camp after they failed to capitalize on takedown strategies. Despite dealing with a broken left hand and recovering from norovirus, Pereira says he has no regrets about competing. He believes he secured the first, third, and fifth rounds, though he admits it was an off day in the Octagon. Health issues and hand pain aside, Pereira feels the solution is straightforward. He wants to run it back in August, insisting this time he'll arrive at peak performance. Citing resilience, he remains confident he can outperform any challenges, especially if the rematch is scheduled soon.
Agora passando tudo isso aqui, foi bem difícil. Eu acho que eu diria aí foi camp mais duro aí que eu tive desde quando marcaram essa luta. Eu estava no Brasil, né? Tive problema com o meu visto, eu fiquei 10 dias indo e voltando no consulado todos os dias ali.
In the aftermath of Alex Pereira's statements, Makhachev wasted no time firing back on social media. He pointed out that while Pereira complained about being held against the cage, he had no issue nearly getting knocked out moments later. In Mag's view, there was never any question about who won the fight. He's confident the outcome wasn't as close as Pereira claims. Now, if a rematch does happen, Makhachev vows to finish things under 3 rounds, especially if his training camp isn't cut short again. He also shrugged off the greasing rumors, joking that Pereira's excuses don't matter. Fans are buzzing over their potential second clash, with many eager to see if Pereira's improved health can sway a different result.
Alex, stop running away for me.
Do you think he will? Do you think standing here right now you have a title shot against Alex Pereira?
Ты думаешь, что он даст тебе возможность биться за титул? Вот ты сейчас здесь стоишь, как ты думаешь, следующий твой бой точно Перейра?
Да, я думаю, следующий Перейра, если даже...
Charles Oliveira recently voiced his frustration with Ilia Topuria's behavior, describing it as disrespectful. While Oliveira respects Topuria's fighting style and rise through the ranks, he believes calling out someone's past record in a mocking tone is uncalled for. Some fans have pushed for a matchup between these two as a potential #1 contender fight, but Oliveira seems less than thrilled about that idea. Having endured ups and downs in his own career, he says his focus is strictly on reclaiming the lightweight title. Though Oliveira remains confident in his skill set, he's also realistic. If Topuria leaps ahead in the pecking order, Oliveira will fight whomever the UFC chooses. He's just not sold on the idea of changing his plans to accommodate a contender he feels is being more provocative than necessary. Ilia Topuria has made it clear he's ready to make a splash in the lightweight division, boldly calling out Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira. He's training specifically to face either fighter, expressing that he sees no viable threats beyond those two. According to Topuria, both men appear hesitant, a reaction he interprets as fear. Despite only recently moving up, Topuria is ambitious about getting a title shot or at least securing a high-stakes contender matchup. Beyond potential fights, he shared concerns about hosting events in Spain, blaming time zone differences tied to broadcast deals. He believes fighting at 4 or 5 a.m. local time is unrealistic for both athletes and fans. Whether Makhachev or Oliveira steps up first, Topuria is convinced he can conquer either challenge. Despite being knocked out by Ilia Topuria in their UFC 298 bout, Alexander Volkanovski holds a unique perspective. He believes only Islam Makhachev has what it takes to push him to the brink over 5 full rounds. In an interview, Volkanovski stated that everyone else has a puncher's chance, but Makhachev can wear him down systematically. Reflecting on his own readiness, Volkanovski feels confident he can outlast most fighters by neutralizing their strength. He cites his near victory over Makhachev in their first meeting as proof that the Dagestani champion stands alone in how he strategizes deep into championship territory. Meanwhile, Volkanovski prepares to defend his belt again, recognizing he needs to keep an eye on surging contenders like Diego Lopez. Even so, he firmly believes his toughest puzzle to solve remains Makhachev. Several notable additions and rebookings have spiced up the UFC schedule. Aaron Blanchfield and Macy Barber are slated to clash in a 5-round headliner, a fight that could catapult either fighter closer to title contention. Meanwhile, Chito Vera and Mario Bautista, initially planned for a different card, are now set for UFC 316 in June. The event will also feature Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van, with Silva trying to rebound from a tough loss and Van looking to extend his 3-fight winning streak. A persistent scheduling shuffle continues for Curtis Blades and Rin Kuniev, now aiming for a June showdown after repeated postponements. These changes hint at a summer of high-stakes action, where every performance matters for fighters hoping to climb the rankings or secure a title shot. Colby Covington stirred the pot when he alleged Paul Felder got extremely drunk on a military base, started causing trouble, and needed to be tied to a toilet. The story made the rounds online, prompting Felder's manager, Brian Butler, to clear the air. According to Butler, Felder did break a toilet lid, but there were no military police involved and no one ever restrained Felder. Butler joked that the biggest issue was cleaning up the flooded bathroom, while Covington actually helped settle any tension. The next morning, the hotel staff had a laugh about Felder's mishap, and the base even invited them back. Butler insists the entire scene was exaggerated and that Felder was simply too inebriated to deal with the mess. As for Covington, Butler describes him as unexpectedly helpful, at least when cameras aren't rolling. Hoping to step into the Octagon at UFC 300, Logan Paul texted Dana White about fighting in the promotion, only to get no reply. Paul suspects that after the CM Punk experiment flopped, White is hesitant to bring in crossover stars without a proven MMA track record. Logan touts his wrestling background, feeling it makes him more suitable for MMA than pure boxing. He's even sparred with Paulo Costa to gauge his grappling readiness. However, he acknowledges stepping in against a top middleweight like Dricus du Plessis or Alex Pereira would be unwise without more preparation. If the UFC door remains closed, Paul could explore other MMA organizations, such as the PFL, where Jake Paul already has ties. For now, Logan's hopes hinge on convincing White, or waiting for another promotion to take a chance on him. In a surprising move, Dana White oversaw the removal of 3 fighters from the UFC roster. Antonina Shevchenko, who hadn't competed since 2022, was quietly released and subsequently retired from mixed martial arts. She leaves behind a 10-4 record and an official goodbye where she joked about leaving her gloves online because she never had the chance to do it inside the cage. Abdul Razak Al Hassan is also no longer under contract following a first-round loss to Cesar Almeida in January and a recent no contest. The third departure is Walt Harris, who's currently serving a 4-year suspension that won't end until 2027. This comes amid a 3-fight losing skid and an extended period of inactivity. All 3 fighters mark the latest in the UFC's periodic roster shakeups, paving the way for new talent on upcoming cards.
On the same card, same night, we had a training camp together, and it was just great, tough, and so I like this because we have same training camp, we have same atmosphere for the training camp, for the trainings.
Thank you for tuning in today. Stay sharp, stay curious, and we appreciate your continued support for Fight Talk MMA.